Hi, everyone. This is Adrienne from Fame Consulting. So, today I have a follow up video to the Emergency Rental Assistance Program in New York, specifically in Hempstead. So, I had done a video a couple months back on the New York State Rental Assistance Program, where to go, what the program is, how to find information, and then I highlighted the fact that there were specific towns or cities that were administrating the program on their own. So this video is specific to the Hempstead program. So I do have a property in Hempstead, and I did actually do this with the tenant, and I'm just providing an update on how that went and some things to consider if you're thinking of applying. So the program has closed several times and reopened, so I just want to I don't know where you are in the process. You may have submitted an application already and you're just trying to figure out where the things are, right? So I originally started this in May of 2021. That's when end of May 2021, that's when I first submitted my application, worked with the tenant, got all the documents that they requested back and forth. I had some delays because my tax bill for the property was never updated with the town. So they had the seller's name on the tax bill. So I had to get that updated. So this is specific to my trajectory and my timeline that I experienced, but I do know other people are meeting similar roadblocks. So I received my first deposit, yay, in March of 2022. So that is a 10-month span. So I also kind of started to push this a little more. So I was following up pretty regularly on my application, making sure that everything was in. And I would call in to kind of just get an update, anything outstanding, because they'll send you an email and say you have 5 days to respond or you're kind of kicked out. So, but the same doesn't kind of go the other way. So you really do need to stay on top of them to kind of figure out what's going on if you don't hear anything. So I want to say maybe about 2 months ago, I got a call from one of my subscribers to my YouTube channel. And they said, hey, I applied back in November, October. I haven't heard anything. And I also heard that, they haven't been dispersing any funds. So immediately I said, well, let me investigate this a little more. So I called down. I specifically asked them, hey, I'm hearing that, nothing's being dispersed. What's going on? And immediately I'm transferred to someone else. And it just seemed like that was a touchy subject, and immediately got a response. They want to look up my file. No, it's here. It's about to go into review. So can't say if that phone call helped my application or not, or maybe it was just a coincidence that it was just in that stage of review. But I called, and then I started to see things start to move. The other thing I wanted to highlight was that when I first applied, because this was a question I had, was there were only about 10 to 11 payments that I had on my application, but I wasn't sure if additional arrears, if they were incurred, would be paid out. So to answer that question, yes, up until the payment is made, they'll continue to ask you to update your reconciliation. Basically, it's just a ledger or a log of how many payments are missing, and you will just add the additional month every month, or whatever was paid or unpaid. And then at the end, right before they are ready to kind of put you in line to, be paid out, then they will say, okay, this is the final one. They'll review it with you. They'll send you their calculation. You will review it, sign it with the tenant, and then they'll send it to the town of Hempstead to review, approve the disbursement, and then you will receive a disbursement within about 7 to 14 business days. So that was the process. I also noted that they paid out part of the total, and then they said that the last 3 months were going to be paid in a second payment. So that second payment has to kind of go through that same process with the town where, okay, they review it, they then send it to the town for them to review and approve the disbursement, comes back to them. So again, they said that could take another 7 to 14 business days. for you to receive the second payment if that is applicable to you. So not really sure why they break it up, but they did break it up and they're dispersing it as part of 2 payments. So again, to highlight the program, they can pay up to 18 months in arrears. So I know some tenants have, whatever reason they've been impacted by COVID, they might be behind on their rent. I still think it's a good program for landlords to consider because, hey, we still have to pay the mortgage at the end of the day, right? So you're trying to figure out, well, what support is out there if my tenant is behind. But when you get the agreement, be sure to review it. I even recommend having an attorney look at it because there are some restrictions and caveats in when you agree to the program. So I have my glasses today because I am going to read a little blurb from it. So there are some restrictions regarding evictions. So this is the language from the agreement. So it says, not to evict for reason of expired lease or holdover tenancy any households on behalf of whom rental assistance is received for 12 months after the first rental assistance payment is received. So what they said is you're not allowed to evict up to 12 months from the date of your first payment. So you get the payment in. So 12 months from when you receive your first payment, you're not to evict unless the dwelling unit that is, subject to the lease or rental agreement is located in a building that contains 4 or fewer units. So if you have 5 or more units, this does not apply to you. If you have 4 or fewer, 1 to 4 units, this does apply to you. So if you are in a case where you have 1 to 4 units, then in that case, the landlord may decline to extend the lease or tenancy if the landlord intends to immediately occupy the unit for the landlord's personal use as a primary residence or the use of an immediate family member as the primary resident. So if within the 12 months after you receive the payments from the program, you have a 1 to 4 unit property and you want to actually decline to extend the lease term for that tenant in that unit, you can do so if you or immediate family member of yours is going to occupy that unit that the tenant is in as their new primary residence. So that is a caveat that applies to landlords who own 1 to 4 units. If you own 5 or more in that building, then this does not apply to you. So yes, there are some restrictions regarding evictions, but that is a loophole I wanted to highlight. There are other terms in the contract, but again, I like to keep things short and simple. So I invite you to read through your entire contract or have your attorney do so. If you have more questions, you can always reach out to me one-on-one so that we can talk about it. But I just wanted to highlight that specific nuance because I thought it was pretty important to know. All right. So that is my update for the program today. Again, you can always reach me by email. I will share my calendar link if you wanted to book a one-on-one call. But just here is always just to share experiences, information, and tips and tricks to just make money, save money, and so on. So I hope this video was helpful, and I will be back next week. Take care, everyone.